Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at all 103 brawlers in the game right now and putting them in a tier list from the very worst all the way up to the very best. So I'm fully aware there are going to be some balance changes, but the update probably isn't going to be for like another month, right? So I don't think balance changes are going to drop before then, but if they do, I'll just update the tier list and give you guys the best brawlers anyways. So a few things have changed in the meta. The meta has fully settled, especially after Brawl Cup and everything like that. So let's just run through it. So starting off with the F tier. So I'm going to just quickly go through like the lower tiers for you guys, because there's no point waffling over too much the worst brawlers in the game, because they haven't really changed too much. You've got Jesse in the meta, who is just terrible, never used at all, one of the few brawlers I just never picked in scrims. Grom again received a nerf. He might be still decent, below I'd say legendary, but everywhere else not that great. Sam, again, he's just a super feeder. He's not even used as the last pick to counter anything right now. Same goes with Mr. P. He's just not even good as a last pick niche brawler. Primo, yes, he could be good into like some other tanks, but mainly assassins are at the forefront of the meta. So yeah, Primo's not the greatest. Jackie hasn't recovered from her health nerf still. GG has been terrible since her release and still not being played in scrims whatsoever. Same goes with Bonnie as well. There's like one use case for her and Bridge Too Far. Outside of that, terrible. Dynamite falling into the F tier for me. Again, a brawler that is just not really any niche use case. He gets overrun way too easily with Edgars and Mortises in the meta, so he's not good at all right now. And the last one being Mandy dropping into the F tier. So again, these brawlers just too easy to predict. I think with like Dynamite and Mandy, you can make them work below legendary, but outside of that, you know, pros are not picking these brawlers. So now moving on to your D tier brawlers. So again, for D tier, I'm going to fly through it for you guys, and then starting in C tier, I'll just go through every single brawler explanation. So Ash, again, nothing is changing with Ash. He's getting a nice tank trait buff, which will really help him out in the meta. But for now, he's just not being played. He's not really the greatest pick. Rosa is, well, can be a dangerous last pick in a few scenarios, but still the opportunity doesn't really arise too often. Surge, again, even as a good Edgar counter or Mortis counter, he still doesn't actually counter those brawlers too well. But again, there's few use cases for him. Miko, again, if you're below legendary or even at legendary in heist, he's going to be really, really good. But in pro play, so easy to counter, not even the greatest. Chuck, again, I always say this about Chuck, he's great in heist, but still, if you're competent enough, you should be able to counter him. Maisie, all you got to do is open your eyes and you can duke out her attacks. She can be a good defender, but not really the best. Pam, I'm going to be putting D tier, maybe could be C tier as well, but yeah, but Pam is just far better options. She's still good in hot zone, outside of that, not the greatest. Daryl, yes, since his recent buffs, played a little bit more in knockout, but still, I think that short wave of people playing him just quickly fell down. He's not really the greatest. Doug, again, not really the greatest. I feel like people just learn how to play against the Doug cheese, and in knockout, you're not really seeing him too often. And then you move on to your free throwers, Sprout, Barley, and Larry and Laurie. All of them are just been power crept, been too many assassins inside of the game, and they just don't put out enough damage to really keep up with the meta. Same with Spike, they really overkilled him with the recent damage nerf. It's just not enough, and his buffies have really fallen off. Meg as well, she just doesn't keep up with the meta. She just, again, not really much purpose other than in hot zone, just survivability, but you'd rather just go with other brawlers there. Shelly as well, as a tank counter, there's way better options, and still she doesn't really shut them down as the way that she used to. Piper, again, in pro play, you just don't see a Piper at all. You don't even see her as the last bit to counter. Other tier lists have her higher for absolutely no reason, because in pro play she hasn't been used for like 1 year. So why is she above the D tier in everyone else's tier list? I have zero clue. And then Tara as well. I think Tara is one of the biggest fall-offs. People don't talk about her whatsoever. She's not even good in gem grab again. She's just way too risky to use. Yes, double swoosh, maybe a few other maps she can be okay, but other tank counters and other lanes are just way better. Moving on to your C tier brawlers in the meta. So most of these can be relevant, but maybe are due maybe like a little bit of a buff or a little bit of love. Starting off with Pearl. So you're also starting to see Pearl a little bit more when you saw her inside of Brawl Cup. That's just mainly because of how much health she has, and she can be a good deterrent to brawlers like Mortis, you know, a few brawlers like that in Bounty in particular. Outside of that, not really played much. Next in the C tier, and I feel like we really overlook, well, not overlook, we kind of overrate her in a way. We just don't really talk about that she's not really that great in the meta. There's a few instances where she might be like paired well with a Griff or even a Frank, but I'm just still finding there's way better tank counters out there. Just think of Claire. This is next in the C tier, and you're really starting to see Max fall off in the meta. There are a few instances in pro scrims where you can team up with your teammates and make some really good plays, but I'm just finding there's hardly any opportunities to make Max work. There's just a lot of snipers that can just do a bit of everything right now, which, you know, Max used to counter snipers and Bounty in particular. You don't really see any Max anymore. Ziggy is next in the C tier. So Ziggy seems like an impossible brawler to balance by the looks of things. Feels like another Grom, because you take away any power from the main attack, you just make Ziggy terrible. But I think it was needed. Ziggy was way too strong in the previous metas, and right now he's only a last pick and still not really picked too often, so maybe it could be D tier. He's next in the C tier and slowly falling down to the D tier for me, and this is literally because as a main attack, a lot of good players just know how to pressure tick a little bit too easily. Just the damage output isn't enough. You're only really going to get good tick games as a last pick inside a draft. Again, just too easy to counter. Next in the C tier, and everyone, myself included, did really overrate Bo's buffies. His hypercharge buffy is great. His totem buffy is pretty strong as well, but I think the reload speed nerf, removing the reload gear, just really hits him hard. And it's just not really much, there's no point using Bo outside of Hot Zone. The C tier could quite easily be D tier as well. Again, another brawler that is just getting way too overwhelmed by all of the aggressive brawlers inside of the meta. She takes too long to get her super, and even then her super isn't impactful whatsoever. So yeah, probably D tier. C tier, we have a Buster. So this is one of the worst he's been in a very long time. Yes, in pro play, there's an odd occasion where he might prop up. That's only because of just so many bans inside of the game. But yeah, I just don't really see much case for a Buster. There's a few instances why you might pull him out to counter like a Lily or another aggressive idea, but I just don't like him. He's next in the C tier, so another thrower, you've guessed it, below the C tier or C tier. That's what Berry is right now. But again, you're only really using Berry as a last pick when the enemy just don't have enough damage. But this meta is very damage orientated, so it's pretty much impossible to get a good Berry game. Hank, so Hank is a little bit underrated. You started to see him prop up a little bit more in scrims, especially around Brawl Cup time. You know, open business and a few other instances with a Grey can still reap some good rewards with Hank. But there's still far too much Chester and Colette in the meta for him to be too much of a menace. We have Gale, so again, another one of those brawlers where if you're looking for a true shutdown when, you know, Chester, Otis, and a few other tank counters are banned out, Gale can be that brawler, but I feel like he's only really map dependent, and he isn't really, I don't know, you can still beat him as a tank, so he's not a great. He's next in the C tier, so again, another brawler where you think, okay, Squeak, when he's good in the meta, you always got to worry about him as a last pick. And right now, I just don't really consider him as a threat in the meta. Yes, he can still be okay in like gem grab, knockout in particular, bounty, but I feel like I feel like the assassins just get better of him as the game goes on. C tier and Frank, again, you're not really seeing him picked too much in the meta. You've seen him in a few instances when the enemies lack damage, but when do the enemies really ever lack damage? And you're just finding him just feeding too many of the meta brawlers right now. So yeah, the meta's just caught up. Carl is next in the C tier and Loki going towards the D tier. This is just another phase of Carl where eventually he gets a bit power crept. He just doesn't really have the punch that other assassins or other damage dealers have. But his time will come again. This is next in the C tier. So again, another brawler you can consider Buzz as like a good counter pick option if you're facing off against like a Mortis whatever. But I'm just finding with these assassins with buffies, they're just, their abilities when they go in, you know, like think of Edgar, he gets healing when he gets a takedown. Buzz, I don't know, it's just too risky to make work. Buzz next in the C tier is one of the few brawlers where he can still be pretty safe as a thrower up against those aggressive ideas. But I'm still finding Willow, especially just because, you know, her damage takes a little while to ramp up in this super aggressive meta. She's just not that great. Eva's next in the C tier, so Eva's just completely a draft brawler. There's like some metas where she's just picked a lot, you know, like Bridge Too Far in a few other instances, and then pros just kind of shift away from her. I don't know, she feels a bit like a nothing brawler to me. She's just only there for like a bit of poke, you know, hatchlings can be a little bit annoying, but overall she's just not strong. It's next in the C tier, so Louis literally only picked inside of Hot Zone. There's a rare instance, there might be a few other situations, but as like an aggressive idea, like kind of shutdown brawler, it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't really, it's too risky to use. I feel like the shots are too hard to land. He is getting a nice buff in the next update and he probably does need it, but yeah, right now only Hot Zone. Johnny is next in the C tier, so I really thought the projectile speed, was it, buff that she received not too long ago would have shifted up the meta a little bit, but again, just finding that there's too many aggressive ideas. It takes too long for her to ramp up the damage. Yes, she's good in gem grab, but not good elsewhere. Draco is next in the C tier, so you'll be glad to hear Draco means that at least he's being played in Hot Zone, but outside of Hot Zone, yeah, it's just not really being played too often. there's just, again, too many big damage dealers that it just it's too hard for Draco to get going in a match, but his hype charge is still broke. Clancy's next in the C tier. So Clancy right now is a little bit of a weird one, so I don't know whether people are underrating him or he just completely fell off, because it's hard to balance a brawler like Clancy. He can't really be strong in the meta, I believe, because it makes it very toxic for ladder, because he can literally 1 versus 3 those tankier brawlers. So yeah, right now I'm toying between C or D tier, not being played much in pro scrims whatsoever. I think it's too risky to use a brawler like Clancy when brawlers like Chester, you don't even need to ramp up in damage or whatever. It's just so much better. Glober is next in the C tier, so I feel like people are really underestimating Glober. After playing him a little bit in ranked myself, there are some good use cases for him. I think if you know the maps and modes, and you have the maps opened up, for example, or you just pair it with a good aggro brawler, you know, Glober can be pretty strong. Just make sure Crow's banned out, and he's actually pretty decent. Sandy is next in the C tier, so Sandy's always in between B or C tiers. At least Sandy has a good use case. You've got Gem Grab in particular that Sandy is very, very strong on. Outside of that, not really too much point in using Sandy, but at least there's a use case for Sandy. Next on the C tier, we have Gray. So this is the lowest in a while that Gray has been in the meta, in my opinion. I'm not seeing him pro play at all in Knockout and Bounty anymore. And he used to be pretty much the go-to, because with your Walking Cane, you could always get like a free super. Yes, there's still a few cheesy strategies going inside of a hot zone, thanks to like M's in particular. But outside of that, this is the worst Gray's been for a while. He's next in the C tier. So Ollie, again, I'm toying between B and C tier. I think in particular, the reason why he's probably C tier is because he's only really good in Knockout. Yes, he can be pretty good in Bounty as well, but he's only good for the players that understand how to play him. With Ollie, all you need to do is just take a lot of damage and eventually get your hypercharge by the final round of Knockout or the end of the game in Bounty, and you can really turn the tides. Outside of that, he does lack a bit of damage. Trunk is next in the C tier, so he started to see a lot more Trunk in pro play, but this is mainly to counter, in my opinion, the likes of Edgar and Mortis. Outside of that, he still feels like pretty much a free kill. His hype charge is actually very underrated and can get you a free kill, but he's very map dependent. You need to like a layer cake or something for him to make him work, essentially. So yeah, just a niche brawler. On the C tier, we have Melody. So yeah, it can be C or B tier. She can be B tier because at least she's playable inside of Heist, but still, I think you have to be a good Melody player to make her work. I think outside of that, I just wouldn't really use her. The reason why she's still good in Heist is just because the amount of pressure you can get with her dashes. You can always get on top of that safe, but yeah, she's just a bit mid. Bit is next in the C tier. So again, over the past 6 months, I've been putting him C tier, B tier, and I just feel him right now. He's being played a little bit less frequently. I think when I start to see a lot more Bounty cheese compositions, I'm bumping up to the B tier, but right now he's only really good in Height. You know, can make the exceptions sometimes, like I said, might appear in Bounty or Gem Grab, but only really Heist right now. Amber is next in the C tier, so I think Amber absolutely has she's had her time in the meta. She's always been consistent A tier, but she's just definitely not that anymore. You don't see Amber at all in pro play, really. I was very surprised when looking at the data. Actually, no, I wasn't surprised because I just don't really see her on ranked. The only time I see her ranked is when a hacker's using her, so yeah, you don't really see too much Amber. Again, I just think there's just better brawlers to use in this meta, and yeah, even the pros don't play her at all either, so she's definitely fell off. Last brawler in the C tier has to be BB, so again, definitely could make a case as a low B tier brawler inside of a meta. The only way you really use a BB is just if there's a lot of walls. So you're thinking of Hot Potato, you're thinking of Super Beach, a few maps like this where BB can really work out. Outside of that, not really the best, so yeah, at least she's got some use case. Now moving into your B tier brawlers inside of the meta, so you can see that majority on my list is C tier and below, but a lot of brawlers are receiving buffs, so you're going to see a lot of meta changes in the next update, like in a month's time. But starting off in B tier, I went with Fang, so again, it could probably put him in the C tier as well, but I'm just starting to see a lot more Fang as a late pick inside of like Gem Grab, inside of a Knockout and Bounty, maybe Bounty in particular to counter out Mortis. I might be overrating him a little bit, but I'm just enjoying playing a bit more Fang. I think the health buff really helped him out, but in particular, it's just because he can counter other long-range brawlers. This next in the B tier, so I was really wanting to put Gus into the C tier personally, just because you only really see him in Bounty. I don't see him anywhere else. Gem Grab, which doesn't have enough damage to keep up with the assassins. In Knockout, again, you just got better brawlers that are more flexible, you know, Pierce and Nadia, for example. So Gus, this is the worst he's been for a very long time, so maybe expect a buff pretty soon. Nani is next in the B tier, so forever put Nani in the B tier as long as Nani is very good inside of Bounty. And you can still use Nani sometimes, counter pick option and knockout on heist as well. But yeah, with Nani, you can pretty much play everywhere in Bounty. You know Nani's good when you're not even scared to face like Jae-Young or Max in the meta, because Nani still hits really hard. Poco's next in the B tier for me, so I'm starting to see a bit more Poco, and it's thanks to his what gadget is it? The one that removes all adverse effects. That gadget is really underrated right now, and that's thanks to, because you think of it, you can remove Otis's mute. You can remove like Lumi's slide gadget. You've also got Chester's hypercharge poison. You can remove completely that. You've got like Meeple stun. You've got so many brawlers that you can just counter out with that gadget. So you're starting to see it a lot more in Hot Zone again. Outside of that, not seeing it too much, but I think he's underrated. Next one in B tier, we have Star Nova. So I feel like Star Nova is criminally underrated. She's not anything crazy, but I think her main attack is actually insanely underrated. You can just deal so much burst damage. I mean, it's not anything crazy damage-wise, but it's just still really consistent, easy to hit, and it's really hard to just avoid and see from the opponents. There's a few strategies as well that I feel like are untouched with Star Nova. Again, yet to try her out in ranked, but I think she's underrated. Jae-Young is next in the B tier, so again, I really love playing Jae-Young in the meta, and particularly in Bounty. Did you see Boss on Jae-Young in Brawl Cup? Just insane. And then I started using Jae-Young a lot more inside of Bounty, and he's just free as long as you're just abusing his speed attack. He's such a good consistent brawler. Belle is next in the B tier. So Belle, again, as metas have gone on, you speak about how she's starting to get power crept a little bit, but if you're looking for a consistent brawler as like, I don't know, she's still good in heist, safe zone as a mid, bridge too far. She's still good in Bounty because of her traps, so she's still relevant in the meta. It's a lot more noticeable now that you can't just pick her into everything. Bull is next in the B tier, and he's slipping down to the C tier momentarily, I feel. Bull just feels like a lot of his power has just been completely zapped out of him, and that is mainly just because he just isn't able to chain the way that he used to. I think nerfing a lot of his base kit probably is going to hurt him a lot more than people realize. So yeah, he's just definitely not the force he used to be. RT is next in the B tier. Don't even need to speak about RT, the most consistent brawler inside of the game. As long as you're good and hitting shots, then RT will forever feel good. He's good as a heist defender. He's just really good in Bounty and knockout, and again, ultra consistent. Can never go wrong with him. Ali's next in the B tier, and Ali will forever be good as long as they keep this gadget that just gives her additional, reload speed increase, and can increase your range as well. Just feel like her enraged feature overall is just so powerful. It's the fact that there's so many interactions, like she can literally free tap an Otis with shield gear. This is how strong Ali is as a brawler. So as long as there's bushy maps and the map pool favors her and ranks, she's forever going to be meta. Lily is next in the B tier. So we saw Angel Boy's Lily, and just in general, Lily in gem grab is a big threat. And that's also because other assassins normally get banned out. Lily can always get free pressure. So as long as, I always say, her Vanish gadget is still in the game, she'll forever be B tier minimum. Rico is next in the B tier. Could honestly be C tier as well. Rico is just really map dependent. There's a few maps where he's just very, very strong, but he also has his big weaknesses as well. But I definitely foresee him getting worse in the meta. Cordelius is next in the B tier, so as long as the map favors Cordelius, or if you need like a big chuck counter, or just any, like if you just need to really counter a certain brawler, and especially their hypercharge, just use Cordelius, put them in a shadow realm, and it shuts them up. It's also a great counter to Kit Cheese in Bounty and Knockout. And as long as the map's like Super Beach, Pinball Dream, something that's got a lot of walls, Cordelius will get a lot of value. Nita is next in the B tier, and you've seen Nita played a lot in Brawl Cup, and that's thanks to her high health and really strong hypercharge. Shield Buffy as well is pretty underrated because it allows you, if you time it correctly, to tank a full shot from an assassin or something close to you. So yeah, Nita's still used quite a lot in pro play. Mo is next in the B tier, so again, another one of those kind of forgotten brawlers when you think of more toxic ideas in terms of other brawlers. They get banned out, and Mo's just left open. His hypercharge is still one of the best inside of the game. Still really consistent in Brawl Ball gem grab in particular. So yeah, as long as his hypercharge is good, he'll forever be at least B tier. Kenji's next in the B tier. So Kenji's always been B tier and above, and that's thanks to just his mechanics overall. Kenji as a brawler can create so much pressure. His healing is very annoying. His hypercharge isn't what it used to be, but yeah, just all of his other healing attributes just make him such a consistent brawler. Brock is next in the B tier, so I'm starting to see him a little bit less in the meta, and that's mainly because the brawlers like Fang, Jae-Young are starting to appear a bit more in the meta. But he's still great in Knockout in particular. Yeah, again, maybe because he's only good in one game mode, I'd probably overrate him just a little bit. But I don't know, I always like Brock in draft. Griff is next in the B tier, so everyone overrated Griff, myself included, and that's just mainly because obviously keep the change star power just not really being as impactful as we first thought. Yes, he can open up the map, but Griff is a standalone brawler, just can't defend himself and just can't keep up with a lot of brawlers within his range. So yeah, only good for the gadget buffy. Lola is next in the B tier, so Lola is actually banned in pro play right now, so you're not seeing her much in the scrim data. And you're not even really seeing her too much inside of ranked, so I think B tier is pretty fair. She is bugged right now, where her ego deals a lot more more damage than Lola herself. Obviously, that's not supposed to be the case, but even with that bug, Lola isn't really that meta. So yeah, kind of crazy. Penny is next in the B tier, and this is mainly because you can never go wrong with Penny when you're looking at a control-based scenario. So what you're often seeing in draft a lot of the time, people are so scared of assassins that they'll go Otis and a Chester, or just multiple damage dealers. Penny's really good for that reason as a last pick to counter those damage brawlers. So yeah, Penny's just been good for a while. And lastly in the B tier, we have Colt. So I feel like Colt is still going to be a staple of the meta for a long time, as long as Speed Loader doesn't get some type of nerf. For me, that gadget is so busted and can just win every single 1v1 interaction with it. Yes, he's very good in Heist and can be used in other cheesy situations as well, but yeah, as long as Colt is really strong in Heist and just usable elsewhere, I'll pop him in the B tier. So now we're moving on to your A tier brawlers in the meta. So actually, this is the least populated tier out of all of them, because I feel like these are just consistent brawlers, but not anything crazy still. Angelo, A tier, so could be propping down to the B tier though. Pros again know how to counter him out pretty effectively by like sustained control. You even seen like Shade on those water maps now to counter for Angelo, but again, a good Angelo is a problem. He's still really versatile and really annoying to deal with as a sniper. Sirius is next in the A tier, and Sirius, again, I was a little bit unsure where to place him. I think Brawl Cup teams overrated him a little bit, because for me, he's only good as like a last pick. But yeah, you need someone to feed off as Sirius, because if you're not feeding your clones, you're just terrible. Like, your main attack isn't good enough to carry you throughout the game. So the health nerf really did him some good in the meta in terms of like being able to counter him. Not Sirius himself, but me, because I can counter Sirius now. But yeah, definitely isn't a force that he used to be. Ems is next in the A tier, so Ems is still ultra consistent. It's just literally because of a hype mechanic. The fact that, again, you have this immunity shield. Yes, you have to time it correctly to get the most value out of it, but you think of the grey cheese compositions, you think of a lot of maps, good counter to Chester, and just overall just so many situations where Ems can still be great. Charlie is next in the A tier, so I'm really confused why Charlie's receiving such a big damage buff personally, because she's great inside a pro play. She can be such a nuisance to brawlers that have a single shot with her spiders. She can just put out some great consistent damage. She's got some good range. Again, a great shutdown to any particular aggressive idea. Yeah, I'd like Charlie. You can literally play her in every single game mode. It's next in the A tier, and I think Kit is a big problem inside of the game right now. Not enough people are really talking about it. Kit is so frustrating to face off against. Literally look at Brawl Cup. Semantic on the Kit was insane, but it's all about that hype charge. That hype charge is insane. The fact that you go invisible, Kit in knockout and bounty. Pros are prepared for Kit cheese right now. Often Kit's just banned out no matter what, but inside of ranks you can just get some free easy Kit multis games. So yeah, Kit is definitely back in the meta. Finks is next in the A tier, and I feel like Finks is just a solid brawler and has been since his release. I think with Finks, yeah, you got Hot Zone, which is by far his best game mode, but you're starting to see him pro play. Finks being used in like gem grab as a mid, you got Finks in Heist to defend yourself against those assassin brawlers, and the reason being is because of star power that stops the reload speed from brawlers like Karlze. Could be a great counter to them, so yeah, Finks is just great. Byron is next in the A tier, and you saw perfectly in Brawl Cup the power of Byron. You saw him consistently paired up with Nina, with other aggressive brawlers, and yeah, Byron just works for that reason. Bounty knockout, great there. Outside of that, don't seem too much, but yeah, he's definitely a handful. Jean is next in the A tier, so again, Jean is just always in the A tier for me, because you can never go wrong with going Jean in bounty and knockout. A few gem grab maps as well, but there's hardly any counters to Jean at the top, the highest level. There's a few brawlers like rough sandbags that can be annoying, but Jean is just so easy to play for the most part until we get Jean pool. Just chip the opponents, get the vision on them, and just eventually get your pull and just push up to a wall. Karlze is next in the A tier, so you're starting to see a lot more Karlze in pro play over the last couple of weeks, I believe, and that's just mainly because she's a high mobility brawler. She can just still do a lot. Karlze's an ultra legendary brawler. She's got so many mechanics. A brawler like that's always going to be at the top of the meta, in my opinion. So yeah, mainly Heist is going to be her game mode, but she's been used a lot in bounty as well. and a few gem grab situations. Leon is next in the A tier, so Leon definitely isn't the force that he used to be since the health nerf, but just because of lollipop drop, he absolutely is high A tier in my opinion. So again, pros are starting to learn how to counter him out a little bit, grouping up, etc., or using a brawler that can pierce and destroy that lollipop drop. But yeah, until that lollipop drop has that much health, he's going to be A tier easily. That gadget is so broken. Shade is next in the A tier, so we talk about the Sands like we talk about Juan Carlos on Kip, but yeah, Shade is just such a force. I think pros know how to counter him a little bit because you need a lot of team play to not feed a Shade, right? But as soon as Shade gets one super, it's game over. He can just chain over and over again. His hype charge is done broken. He's just so frustrating to face off against in ranked. I swear there's hardly any way to deal with Shade properly. So I'm glad he's getting a nerf. Stu is next in the A tier. High A tier for Stu, which is crazy. He has been like C tier for a very long time, and it's just the meta's just favoring him perfectly. So you take a look at some of the S tier brawlers. They don't ruin a lot, but you can basically work it out for yourself. You think of like Chester and Otis in particular. He has a good matchup into these because they're damage dealers. He's like a control assassin. So he's got this rare use case where he can be good into these damage dealers, but also apply a lot of pressure. Again, brawlers like Mortis and Edgar can't take down Stu easily, so he's a safe gem carrier. You think of like Mina as well, good in 1v1 versus Mina, good into Leon. There's so many brawlers at the top of the meta where Stu is just perfect into it. And finally, moving into Meeple, which I could consider Meeple an S tier brawler instead of rank personally. The pro data is finally catching up with Meeple in my opinion. Again, pros aren't always 100% on the meta, but I think they finally realized after Brawl Cup that Meeple is very, very strong. Yes, he can counter Meeple with some assassins and over, there's a few ways that he has some clear weaknesses, but his strengths just outweigh it so much. Two really strong gadgets. His super is broken. His hype charge is broken. He's so strong. It's so hard to deal with in ranked. So now moving into your S tier brawlers inside of the meta right now. So maybe I put a few too many in there, but I just believe there's so many super strong brawlers in this current meta, and it's just hard to always not leave one of these open inside of rank. So it's very frustrating. Start off with Ruffs. Ruffs, if you take a look at his pick rate in scrims, it's like top 5. You take a look at pro play, he's always been played. So again, there's clear weaknesses with Ruffs, like Mortis and Edgar, but they're just going to feed him a hyper treat, and that's just the strategy with Ruffs. Just pair him with a really good hypercharge brawler, and you'll just win the game 9 times out of 10. He's so strong. Mortis is next inside of the S tier, so pros are banning Mortis a lot. He's been played a lot. His win rates are really extremely high, and that's just all thanks to his gadget, combo spinner. You can just throw it out and deal with such an insane amount of damage. It's completely unfair. Outside of that, you know, he's still got to be a good Mortis to make him work most of the time. You've got to have low ping. But yeah, that gadget is so unfair. Edgar is next in the S tier. So again, just, well, the thing about Edgar, at least with Mortis, you can first pick and bounty and stuff like that. Edgar, you still got to make sure that you have the right composition. But there's only a handful of brawlers that really deal with Edgar. And that is like Otis, Chester, and maybe a few others. But yeah, as a last pick, you've always basically in the draft, even if you don't see Edgar being played, you just know for a fact the enemies are trying to draft around not being countered by Edgar because he's so strong. His gadgets, Let's Fly, just the cooldown is so short. The hyper charge is completely broken. He's just such a menace. Pierce is next in the S tier, and Pierce is so fierce inside of the game right now. In ranked, he's been spammed everywhere. Yes, he's very good, and into bad plays is even better because you're rewarded for hitting those shots. But the big problem with Pierce is just his hype charge is insane. His super damage is crazy. You can play him pretty much everywhere, so Pierce is insane. Chester is next in the S tier, and it's very obvious that even the Balance team know that he's strong because he's receiving 3 or 4 nerfs, right? But yeah, that's just because Chester, you can just play into everything. He's an RNG brawler that's just hyper countered. Like, Chester's the only counter to Edgar, I believe, that truly counters Edgar because you can just keep your 3 and 4 sequence. But yeah, he's a brawler that can just be good into everything as well because he has an abundance of health. His hypercharge is broken still. He's very annoying to face off against. Next one, yes, we have Otis. So Otis is still this ultra consistent brawler. You've seen him played everywhere in pro play. Again, one of the big shutdowns to a lot of aggressive ideas. He's got really good range, insane burst damage. Otis is just a goat. Next one, yes, we have Lumi. So Lumi does have clear weaknesses. Again, you've got to make sure that Mortis and Edgar in particular are banned out. But outside of that, just feel free to play Lumia everywhere. Lumia does insane damage, insanely broken Lu gadget, whatever you guys want to call it. It's literally a Lu super with a click of a button. But her damage is absolutely crazy. Her super is just a guaranteed kill. The pros just hardly found a way to counter Lumia at Brawl Cup. She's insane. Mina is next in the top 5, and you might be thinking, well, this is just the Angel Boy effect. I just think Mina was being very slept on in this meta in particular, because funny enough, Mina is actually pretty good into a lot of the damage dealers right now. She just struggled when there was a lot of tanks in the meta. So think of like Bull and a few other brawlers that just ran so easily up the map. You think of Frank as well. Like, Mina just couldn't really do all too much into these types of brawlers, but now with like Assassins and Otis and Chester, she can just apply pressure really easily into these brawlers. She can get some really good combinations. Her windmill's still pretty broken, and in particular knockout and bounties, she can just apply so much pressure with ease. So yeah, it's definitely not a shock or surprise that Mina was nerfed. Next up in the S tier, I went with Nadia. So again, another brawler at least that has some clear weaknesses. But Nadia, if you just pair with a Chester and Otis, you just ban out Edgar or Mortis, she's just going to be an absolute nuisance. She deals so much damage, and it's just all about her super at the moment. Yes, that maintenance attack is pretty annoying, but once you get that first super, it's bugged right now, and it just deals some insane amount of damage. Like, you can one-shot like so many brawlers in the game if you just land your snakes directly on top of them. So yeah, she's an annoying poison brawler, insane range. She can wall peek. She's insane. So moving into your top 3 brawlers, at number 3 we have Crow. So Crow is the talking point right now, where he's been heavily nerfed, and yeah, me myself, I'm a little bit skeptic on this, but it's very clear the community are not happy with this nerf. But Crow for me is the top 3 brawler. He needs to be heavily nerfed right now. He can just be this brawler that's just chipping away at people and just so annoying to deal with. Like, he's one of the only brawlers in the game where you can't truly counter him right now in his current state. And I don't even think it's his buffies. A lot of people are saying it's his buffies. I just don't think it is. I think he needs like a health nerf or something else. I don't know. I'm just fed up with Crow meta. He's so flipping annoying. Please, we just need some good nerfs. Next up is the second best brawler inside of the game right now. I went with a Colette. So Colette, do I even need to talk about why OP, like how OP she is? The main reason is because of Na'Ar. It's just disgustingly broken. The fact that you can shoot it through a wall, it hypnotizes people, and then you can just super combination onto them. It's just completely broken. A hypercharge is insane as well. Both star power buffers are absolutely crazy. You can play Colette everywhere. Like, you're seeing Colette first pick on knockout. Like, how has she ever been a good knockout brawler? She should just be mainly brawl ball gem grab. That's the type of brawler she is, as a predominant tank counter. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best I think Colette's ever been in the history of Brawl Stars. And then moving into your best brawler inside of the game right now, absolutely it has to be Damien. So the good thing is right now, there's a lot of annoying brawlers, but most of them you can counter. Even Damien, you can definitely counter inside of a meta, but he's still a big threat. I'm still finding, I've been watching a lot of scrims of the past few days, a lot of pros are leaving Damien open. That's because, at least with Damien, you can feed from him, but I'm still thinking he has so much pressure, and he's got 2 really strong gadgets. His super is just so broken. If you just know how to combine him well, he's just going to win you like the round and knockout easily with 1 super. He's going to get a team wipe in bounty. Again, like I guess the biggest nerf to him, I think that was the greatest, was definitely the fact that with your like domino chain effect, when you die, it just it doesn't chain onto the next person. And then also the chain just takes a lot longer. So those are the biggest impact nerfs in my opinion, but he still definitely needs some nerf with his super. You still get knocked back too frequently. Still super is too toxic. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. It's going to be a tier list on your screen. So I was a little bit reluctant on doing a tier list because the meta hasn't really changed all that much, to be honest. But yeah, you can clearly see these are the best brawlers inside of the game. I just think there's hardly any debate with any of these. I think it's just like, honestly, this is one of the best tier lists because we've had a meta for like a month. You just can't really call out anything in my opinion. So yeah, let me know whether you agree or disagree, but I'm really happy with my placements on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.